Hello, friends, and welcome to a very special edition of the Happy Half Hour Training Camp edition. And you know why it's a special edition?
Because it's the last one of training camp?
That's right. It's the end of training camp. Imagine this is a bottle of champagne, and I'm going to shake it up and just start spraying it all over the, studio. Well, apparently, according to rules, we can't have champagne in the studio while we're talking. So, anyway, no,
Them dang rules.
This fine bottle of Dasani, a proud partner of the Carolina Panthers, will, or something. This bottle of Dasani
Make it a Diet
will
Dr.
have
Pepper.
to do. Yeah, exactly. Diet Coke, thank you, please. Anyway, yes, we have reached the end of training camp. That is correct. Today was the last padded practice before they go into the final preseason game, and then there'll be some days where they're kind of out there doing some things, but today was kind of that last one. That looks like training camp, where they're wearing pads, hitting each other, really competing, getting after it. And guess what happened?
It felt like it.
That's right. People got scrappy, and it was that kind of day. One of the headlines coming out of this thing is going to be there was a long stretch of move the ball at the end of practice that Dave Canales kind of let go. It was supposed to be an 8-play segment. Yeah. He let it go like 15, 18 plays. Because they were getting after it pretty good. And when guys start getting after it pretty good in training camp, here's what happens. Somebody gets hit, people get offended, football players bow up on each other, and next thing you know, somebody swings.
It is very much A equals B, B equals C kind of this time of year, it feels like.
The only thing it was really missing was 100-degree temperatures.
I know. It was actually way too cool out there for hotheads. But, like you said, it was a competitive period. It was a long practice. They knew this was going to be their last big one before, because starters aren't playing preseason. And then, you got a little bit of time before you start rolling into that Jacksonville week. So it was physical. And, Canales even said that's kind of why he let the move the ball period continue. He liked the physicality he was seeing. He knows, again, that since starters aren't playing Thursday, this is kind of the last chance for some of those guys to really get in there and feel some physicality with each other. And they did, for sure. But it was a good period, too. Everybody kind of walked away laughing at the end of it as well. So.
Yeah, they're all better now. I saw them in the lunchroom. They were all sitting together, being friends, having a good time, all that kind of stuff. But, no, you can imagine some of the people. J.C. Horn's kind of in the middle of it, because J.C. Horn's in the middle of a lot of this kind of stuff. What Dave Canales did not like, and what he was going to caution J.C. about later, was don't throw punches at people, because if you throw a punch at somebody in a game, guess what? You don't get to play no more.
JC's already got stitches in one hand. You don't need to hurt the other one either.
Yeah.
That was probably the most physical it got at that point. But, yeah, like you said, it's a good teaching moment. And even J.C. Horn, having been in the league for a few years now, we can all learn. We can all learn something every day. And that was a good reminding, teachable moment for Canales with the guys. And sometimes you see that happen with teams and then they shut things down. That period, even though it had already gone longer than the 8 plays it was supposed to, kept going.
That's right.
They immediately got back to the ball, ran another play, and ran, I think, 3 or 4 more before practice was over. And so, they were still going to finish their work.
Right.
And they did exactly that because you only get so many of those a year.
Yeah, and listen, there is that fine line. And again, it's the end of training camp. I've lost all concept of time. It feels
Sources say it's a Tuesday.
It feels like early in training camp we had another day where people bowed up on each other, started playing buck, circling around, jumping on piles. And Canales kind of grinned when he talked about that one, and he kind of liked it, even though he had to say out loud he didn't like it. There was one of those. He talked today about that fine line, and that's what he's trying to find, because – here's what you know about this Carolina Panthers team that is evident through the end of this training camp and even beyond. The guys who burn the hottest are among some of those leaders of the team. Cats like Chuba Hubbard, cats like J.C. Horn, cats like Derek Brown are always going to be the ones kind of in the middle of a lot of that, just because they burn so hot and they expect so much out of people. Derek is one of those guys who – he may not run his mouth the way JC does. I don't know that anybody's doing that. But those guys keep a high standard, and they demand a high standard of others. So Canales said it after practice day. He said, I want guys pushing right up to that edge. I want them right there in that place right before they throw a punch at somebody.
Right, and then come off the field. Come back to us. Isn't that what he always says?
Yeah, there you go. Look at you.
Come back to us.
You have adopted the Dave Canales phrase book.
Some recall there. come back to the sidelines, celebrate with us, commiserate with us, but come back to us. And, that's practice is for those kind of things. It's for getting your techniques right, your fundamentals right, and knowing where that line is.
Mm-hmm.
And, it probably got crossed a little bit today, but better in practice than a game.
Yeah, but in a day of messages sent and messages received, there was another thing that kind of stood out to me about this.
Yes, there was.
About halfway through practice, whistle blows, there's a little bit of a break, and all of a sudden you see offense lining up on one side of the field together and taking off and running a gasser to the other side and back.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of wild, and it's one of those things. It wasn't planned. It wasn't in the script, and nobody was really expecting it. And Dave kind of admitted, I didn't really know what was going on.
He said, I was confused. He's like, I think we're going to 7-on-7, and all of a sudden I hear sideline. And he's like, we're not doing team yet. What is everybody going to the sideline for? But Chuba Hubbard and Bryce Young didn't like the effort they were getting, and they made sure that message got across.
Right. I mean, and Dave's talked about pre-snap penalties and how that's kind of the mistake you can't make. That's that self-inflicted wound that this Carolina Panthers team, bless you, honestly can't really afford at this point in their development. I mean, this team's going to be involved in close games if they're going to win a bunch of games. They're going to need all those little edges because they're still building this thing. And so they can't give away yards. They can't give away possessions, those kind of things. And Dave's been harping on that a lot during camp. So it was interesting. And again, I did a little bit of a journalism and started talking to some people in the back. Chuba Hubbard, as is his custom, was the guy who called everybody up.
Yeah.
And Chuba, I have said this before on this podcast, probably during this training camp, but when you pay a Chuba Hubbard, you're not just buying yards and touchdowns. You're buying the guy who calls people up and makes them do gassers during training camp.
Right.
You're buying the guy who spends all that extra time on the jugs machine so that when Xavier Legette drops a ball in Philadelphia, Chuba's like, all right, come on with me. That's the kind of leader you're getting in that guy. And he has quickly become kind of the conscience of this place, much in the same way Derek has on his side of the ball, by being the one who works.
Yeah.
By being the guy who grinds the hardest, by being the guy who shows up early, stays late. We joked during the schedule release back in the spring about Chuba living here in the stadium, but there's a kernel of truth in every joke, gang. Just remember that the next time somebody makes you mad. But Chuba is the guy on that side of the ball who will call people up. And he did it today, and it was kind of wild to see a whole line of people running across the field.
And he told them, if you don't clean that up, if you don't answer for it, we're going to do it again. And they didn't have to do it again. They only had to do it once. Yeah. But, Jalen Coker even joked afterwards. He was like, I don't know whose idea it was. I was just following directions.
Yeah. God bless Jalen Coker. He ain't going to start any trouble with anybody. He just wanted to – he was just like, yes, sir, okay.
Yes, sir, to the sideline. You got it.
You got it, Mr. Hubbard. Absolutely. I'm on my way. Love that kid. He is Chuba does that a lot. And to one of those other big points Canales has made throughout this camp, he wants this to be a player-driven thing. If you remember 100 years ago in July when I wrote that story about the way this was kind of becoming a player-driven thing, Dave didn't want to have to tell guys to do stuff. Now, he also pointed out he doesn't necessarily love guys doing gassers because he tries to keep the intensity and the workload of practice at a certain level anyway.
Right.
And so extra running isn't really part of the program. I mean, they've got entire teams of scientists downstairs who
watching every breath,
who have calculated how much work dudes need to do. So if dudes are out there doing supplemental work on their own, you like the effort, but you also don't want them overtaxing themselves and putting themselves in a bad situation.
And I think if there had been more than one, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have stepped in and said, okay, well, you got your point across.
Right.
But, it was just one. It was more than anything a message.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like you said, message given, message received. They walked away realizing that, coaches are going to hold them accountable, but so are the players. To your point, it's player-driven.
And this is a little detour here, and you haven't planned for this, so you're giving me that podcast face where it's like, what is Darin about to do now?
Nervous.
Do women do this too? Because there is nothing a dude loves
more. There's no way this goes well.
There is nothing a dude loves more than making a point, taking a privileged stand. We're just going to settle this right here. We're going to run these sprints. Do women do that, or do they cooperate and get along?
Probably they very much do that, but in a different way. There's nothing I love more than being right. I don't even mind being wrong.
This is why we're friends. by the way.
Everybody's wrong at some point. I can be
Speak for
wrong,
yourself.
but I love being right. And a lot of women are like that. It's we probably would get it out with words a little more than gassers, but yeah, definitely get it out. Or at least me and my friends do. It's unhealthy to sweep stuff under the rug. It makes you trip.
Is that Alabama wisdom? Do you have that needle pointed onto a pillow at Meemaw's house?
I should. My Meemaw's probably where I got it from.
That does sound like something.
You missed it earlier. I talked about my grandma Tootie.
That's a different podcast for a different day. We will get to that later. But no, I mean, it was that kind of day, and you could feel all these things kind of coming to a head because they know this is kind of the end of a thing. There's going to be a game on Thursday night. That game is going to be contested largely by the second and third and fourth teams, guys competing for roster spots at the end of this roster, guys competing to come back to be on a practice squad, to be honest with you, because we talk about this 90-man roster, 91 with an international exemption. They're going to reduce that down to 70 or so in a week. And so most of these guys are still
16.
Huh?
53 plus 16.
Plus one for the international
one.
exemption from Osmowansa.
That's 70.
That's
Look at you doing the math.
Funny how math works. But basically 20 of these guys are going to go away, and we may not see them for a while. But usually when somebody gets hurt in the middle of the year, those are the guys who come back. But the one thing we know for sure is that this team is kind of developing a little bit of that personality that they want to see. You've seen it. I know people are – feeling some kind of way about the games they get to see on TV. But when you see the joint practice with the Texans, when you see these guys go through this camp, you can tell that those messages are coming through. Yeah,
it's definitely a decided shift from maybe what it was a year or so ago at this time. Even just as something as simple as, again, people are going to be like, really, you're bringing this up again? But as simple as, like, Hubbard and Bryce being the one to kind of get them on the sideline and say, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I had a point to add to that, too, and now I can't remember what it was.
What would Aunt Tootie say?
Grandma Tootie.
Grandma Tootie.
Probably
that really was a piece of wisdom that came on a needlepoint pillow. It absolutely was.
Don't sweep stuff under the rug; it'll make you trip.
It'll make you trip.
Oh,
that's outstanding.
Yes, I remember now. Talking about Thursday. I knew I'd get there eventually. Thursday being guys that are going to be maybe second, third, fourth string guys. Canales talked today too about again, what is the identity of this team going to be? Wanting to see that show up on Thursday. That's going to be what helps guys stand out. He said the message to them this week was basically show us you want to be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Show us you want to make this team. And a lot of that is going to look like putting in effort on every play, including special teams. Because to your point, they're going to get this roster down to 70 guys next week. But then there's going to be times where they have to do call-ups. And he said, when we do call-ups, you're probably not getting called up to start.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting called up to be depth behind a guy, and that means you're going to have to get out there on special teams. Are you worthy of that spot?
Mm-hmm.
And prove that to us now.
Yeah.
And so that's what today was. That's what Thursday's going to be about. A good opportunity for a lot of guys.
That's right. So when you're watching that game Thursday night on the Panthers television network with our friends Anish Shroff, Jake DeLome, and Steve Smith, make sure to check out the Gunners in the third quarter because that's where the action is.
That's your future backup corner right there.
Yeah, speaking of that game, Dave did tell us today a couple of odds and ends, news and notes. Andy Dalton definitely is not going to play on Thursday night. Kind of expected after he kind of eased into it a little bit yesterday after leaving the game last Saturday in Houston. Andy's all right. Mm-hmm. If it would have been a regular season game, Andy would have probably stayed in it without missing a series last week. He's okay.
And he practiced today.
And he practiced today fully and without any apparent limitations. Andy was just, as I told him the other day, Andy Dalton's just over there doing Andy Dalton things. And those are usually good things. But not going to play on Thursday night. That means a lot of Jack Plummer and a lot of new Bryce.
Bryce Perkins.
A lot of new Bryce Perkins, who it was actually another kind of neat thing. And I would encourage you to get on the Panthers YouTube channel or Panthers.com and check out the tail end of that Canales press conference because he had a section where he talked about talking to Bryce Perkins today during warm-ups.
Really cool.
And Perkins told him, he was like, listen, man, you come it through the UFL, you got to want to play football. You got to love this game. And Dave's like, I got chills just talking to him about it. And that's kind of that vibe. I mean, when you get guys who want to do it, who want to do the fourth quarter of the third preseason game when nobody's really paying attention, when you find those guys, that's where you're on to something, because you want all of your guys to behave that way.
Yeah.
So.
And, Bryce Perkins spent a year in the UFL kind of refining his game. He talked about it yesterday. You can read it on Panthers.com about knowing that there were parts of his game he needed to get better at. And so he that's really what he spent his last 2 years in the UFL doing as well. Like, what does his vision look like downfield? What does he do when he needs to move the pocket? Things like that. And he's like, I'm ready to show people what I've learned.
Yeah.
And so cool opportunity for him too. Jalen Coker will play Thursday.
That's right. Jalen Coker is going to play. A couple other injury updates from Canales today. Tommy Trimble's getting close, gang. Tommy's over there doing his thing. He was wrestling with one of the performance staff members yesterday on the sidelines over a medicine ball, and I thought he was going to injure poor Ryan Belrose. But Bell's okay. Tommy's okay. Tommy's getting closer to getting activated, they hope. Canales said looks good for getting him back for regular season week 1. Was a little less certain about Damian Lewis. He was asked about D-Lou, and he said D-Lou, who's been out since the joint practice with the Browns with a little bit of a shoulder deal, he said D-Lou could probably play if we had to right now, but we don't have to right now. So they're going to continue to strengthen him and let him get back into this thing. Cade May's been out there running around with the ones at left guard in D-Lou's absence, but they've got some other dudes coming back. Chandler Zavala's been back on the practice field this week. Chan's supposed to play this week. And by the way, Chandler Zavala is a friend of this here podcast. Here's what I love about Chandler Zavala.
I know what you're going to say.
There is nothing you can ask that man to do that he won't say yes to. It's like, hey, Chan, you want to put on lederhosen and go to Germany and announce Drepa? Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Hey, Chan, you want to go out in the yard with some goats and do yoga? Yeah, that sounds fun. Cool. We were coming in from practice today, and I was walking in alongside as the cart was pulling around some of the veteran guys, and Dan Morgan, and Chandler standing there holding the door for people to walk into the locker room. And Dan and I are looking at him like, get in there. What are you doing? Go inside. You've been practicing. So
you can go cool off.
Yeah, Chandler's a great kid. Works hard. And he's back in the field. He should be out there on the field Thursday night too. And that just adds another element to it. I mean, they've got that depth on the offensive line that we've talked about so much this offseason. So it'll be good to see some of those guys back out on the field.
And then a couple other just notes. He said, because Brad Idzik has been calling the plays the first 2 preseason games for the offense, Jonathan Cooley and Pete Hansen called it game 1 and game 2 respectively. Canales and Evero will call the plays for offense and defense on Thursday night just to get them a game under their belt before the regular season starts.
Yep.
Darin, we would be remiss if we did not talk about the funniest moment from practice today.
Tell me more.
It had no business being as funny as it was. Like, Chuba Hubbard, first of all, Chuba Hubbard on one play gets a handoff, breaks down the right sideline. He's got nothing but open grass. Mike Jackson tried his dangdest to catch up to him. Almost got him.
Yeah.
But because he cut across from the other side of the field. Mike was on the other side of the field. Took an angle across to try to get him. Jimmy Horn and Raheem Blackshear realized what was happening, ran down the sideline, hyping Chuba up the whole way into the end zone. That's a fun little, cool little moment anyways.
That's right.
The next play, Chuba gets the handoff again, tries to cut to the other side, and he goes to what should have been open grass in a lane.
Instead,
and Derek Brown, all 6'5", 320 pounds of Derek Brown is just standing there. Like, he's literally just standing there, like, daring Chuba to come that way. And Chuba stops, and you see, even through the helmet and the visor and 20 yards down the field, you see the exact moment Chuba makes a business decision.
That's right. Chuba's like, I do not need this in my life on Tuesday morning.
He cuts left, finds another lane, gets probably a first down in the game. He picked up a good bit of yardage there. But the moment of clarity for Chuba that, oh, that's Derek Brown right there. I need to go anywhere else.
It
was so funny.
It was a little bit like if he was a cartoon character, you would have heard that, brakes squealing as he skids down the road and turns around, runs back onto the cliff.
Or like the old, it's from an old TV show, and now it's made its way to TikTok for the young kids that don't know where it came from, where it's like the record stops, it's like, and it's like, you're probably wondering how I got here. Like, that was Chuba in that moment.
See, I remember record scratches because I remember records.
Like an actual record scratch.
So anyway, that takes care of practice today. Again, Pittsburgh Steelers here in this building, Bank of America Stadium on Thursday night. Come join us. It's going to be a good time. I hear the weather's going to be lovely. It should be a great night for preseason
Aaron's
football.
coming to visit us. I'm just kidding. I think Thursday's fine.
Yeah, Thursday's fine. Quit scaring people. Leave the weather
I'm
to
not
me.
scaring. I love a good small hurricane. Get like a Category 1, a Category 2. I love a good small hurricane.
A small hurricane like Willis McGahee?
Sure. Is that a joke I need to
That's
Google?
a college football joke. Willis McGahee
from the
played for
Hurricanes.
Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. At any rate.
Gotcha.
At any rate. Yes, so there is that. We will be back. This podcast will return. We can't possibly keep up an everyday schedule through the regular season.
Matt might kill us.
Matt would kill us. Our bosses would kill us. Those people who are trying to clean the champagne stains out of the ceiling would kill us. So to avoid death and dismemberment, we're going to cut back a little bit. We're going to come to you a couple times a week with the happy half hour during the season. I know you're used to once a week during the season. We've had so much fun for the last month. We're just going to keep it going a little more often. So we love doing it. We love doing it for you because we do it for the people. And until then, until you see us in this spot again at a time to be determined, I don't know, maybe Friday, maybe next Monday in advance of cuts. I don't know. We'll figure it out because we're kind of winging it. Here's our plans for this podcast if you want to know how well it's scripted in advance. We will see you here next time, whenever that happens to be, on the Happy Half Hour.